if, your eyes are open, even physically, that doesn't mean you're going to see what you're supposed to see. So I thought, how do I see what I'm supposed to see? And that depends on your perspective. And if you think about the infamous thing, say if I told somebody to go to the kitchen to get that the glass that's half full of water, and you go into the kitchen and you find a glass, that's half empty. Well, that's what you see, not what I see. I see it as something was put into the glass, not taken away from the glass. And also, if we're both looking at a bush, another infamous one, if we're both looking at a bush, you're disgusted at how the beautiful rose bush, was made ugly by the thorns. But I'm seeing how the ugly thorn bush was made beautiful with roses. But isn't our eyes open to the same thing? I think we ask God to open our eyes because we may be looking, but we cannot see. Sometimes it may not be about what you look at, but what you can see when you look at it. Sometimes the situation is, far less important than your interpretation of it. Our prayer isn't that God should open our eyes to change what we look at, but we can see with our minds, because once you change the things you see, the things you look at also will change. And I think as Christians, we should not look at things as they are, but we should look at things as we are. It does not only depend on what you look at, but what you look at it from. So what is your perspective? What do you refer to when you look at stuff? What do you look at stuff through? Because it's very obvious that if you look at things through a negative lens, they're going to appear negative. If you look at this obstacle as a mountain instead of a mere stone, then it's going to take that amount of strength to get over it. If you look at life as a big struggle and that you're the victim, then it's going to remain like that for you. Because everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. And everything we see is a perspective, which may not be the truth, but let me tell you, your perspective will become the truth for you. Because we are who we believe we are. The world around us exists the way we see it as. And if things work for us, how we see ourselves capable to handle them. This may be a stone, but you see a boulder. This may be a cat, but you see a lion. This may be a giant, but you see a midget. But this may be a boulder, but you see a stone. This may be a lion, but you see a scared cat. This may be a giant, but you see a midget. For instance, let's look at the story of David and Goliath. David fought and killed a great giant with a stone. Someone who was greatly feared by everyone was killed by someone who was small in their eyes. Because in David's eyes, he didn't have a pebble. He didn't have a stone. He didn't even have a rock. He had a boulder. And in his eyes, Goliath was a midget. It says in Proverbs 1 verse 18, EGV version, I pray that God will open our eyes to see his truth. Then you will know the hope that he has chosen for us to have. You will know that the blessings God has promised his holy people are rich and glorious. So David was not using his physical and worldly eyes to see. He was using the eyes of his mind, which God has opened to see God's truth. So he was not relying on his own understanding of the situation, but he was seeing God's truth. And God's truth was not that there was a mighty giant who can defeat you. God's truth is that there's a small midget over there, and you have the boulder which I have given power to do miracles. So when we ask God to open our eyes, we ask him to open the eyes of our mind, heart, and understanding, so we will have the ability to see God's truth. And all the negative things we say, this is difficult, this is hard, this is impossible. They have no life until we give them meaning. We create that negativity. We create the wall of difficulty. We create those barriers of impossibility. Why can't we just simplify things? I have a goal and I want to reach it. I'm here and I want to be there. And then we have two options. We can map out the path and make it happen, or we can create reasons why it's not possible, why I can't. And it starts with the small things, like waking up in the morning or going on a diet. We look at these goals and we ask why. We don't even for a second ask why not. Let's think about it this way. If human beings have found a way to get a man on the moon, separate conjoined twins, give us the ability to fly in the air, tell me one reason why we can't wake up in the morning early without pressing the snooze button at least 3 times. They say that life's greatest achievements, were achieved by people who did not know that they were once impossible. Because that is not their perspective. That is not their mindset. They had a target and they hit it. And honestly, it's that simple. And if you think like this for those little things, your mindset doesn't change when it comes to the big things. Why can't we see ourselves as someone who succeeds, someone who wins, someone who can make it through? Why can't we see God's truth? It says in 1 Peter 2:9 that we are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who had called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That is God's truth. So why can't we see it? Before you start looking at all the specifics to reaching a goal, like the obstacles and the troubles that follow, know that there is a solution. It does exist. It is possible. Now it's just a matter of if you will make it happen. So set yourself up for success. Brush away negativity aside and look at what's in it. What's in you can make it happen. Look through the lens of someone who can do it. Surround yourself with positive people because people can change your perspective. So let it change for the better. Are you the glass half empty or the glass half full? Are you the rose bush with thorns or the thorn bush with roses? What is your perspective? If God opens your eyes, what will you see? Open up my eyes, but what will I see? Hallelujah.